we're down on the beach, and as you can see, there are literally hundredweights of mussels. Perfect starting point for a forager. Even bring your children down. The reason I say that is we actually all know what a mussel looks like. We've probably seen them in the shops. It's going to cost you about £4 a kilo, in which we can fill up here, you know, a kilo in 5 minutes. The tools we need really is need a knife. It doesn't have to be a pen knife, it could be a kitchen knife. And what I've got here is this leek sack, and we use that later on in the process. And then with the pen knife we need to remove the barnacles just by scraping like this.
So why are we doing that? What's the point of taking off the barnacles?
Okay, when we come to cook them in the shell, what happens is the barnacles cook and fall off, and they end up in the sauce, which is an integral part of the dish. So if we don't do that, it's just a really unpleasant dish. So once we've got the barnacles off, there's this thing called the beard, which attaches the mussel to the rock, and we just need to pull that out, and then into the sack, and off we go.
Is there any, I mean, are they generally safe to eat mussels? Is there anything that we should be aware of when cooking them?
What we need to do is make sure they're closed when we cook them, and open when we've cooked them. So if they're not closed, don't cook them. And when they're cooked, if they haven't opened, don't eat them. They are filter feeders, and by that I mean is they open up and take in the water and get their nutrients from that. So if there's any bacteria in the water, proper cooking will kill those. So three minutes is enough to kill the bacteria. So that's really all we need to be aware of.
Is there any restrictions? I mean, do we, you know, are we limited in picking them in a local area like this?
No, we actually have a right under the rights of fisheries, which was laid down in the Magna Carta, that we can actually pick shellfish and crustacean for our own consumption. We're not permitted to pick them commercially.
No commercial use.
Yeah. There's no bylaws affecting this river. There's one or two in the country that have bylaws stopping you, but you'll be able to find that out locally. So no legal restriction. So we can't take a lorry load. We can just take what we need for ourselves.
Is there any other sort of wildlife in with the mussels? Do you find clams around here? Is there? I've seen a couple of little crabs that sort of
There's
crawl around.
Plenty of crabs, not really big enough for us to eat, but there will be clams as well. They sort of attach themselves to the shell, so we can treat the clam in the same way as the mussel. The clam itself actually likes to live in the sand, so it lives 2 or 3 inches down in the sand, along with the cockles. So these are on the surface. What we really need to do for cockles and clams is rake the sand and extract them that way.
What about preparation for coming? Obviously, planning ahead if we know we're sort of going out foraging. What kind of things do we need to bear in mind before we come? Equipment we need to bring.
Okay, probably the most important thing we need to bring or have a look at before we come is the local tide time. This one tells us, just for South Devon where we are, that today's low tide is actually 1:30. So we've got 3/4 an hour before it's low tide, and then 20 minutes after that, it'll start coming in. It comes in very, very, very fast.
So we wouldn't want to be around.
No, so just make sure you've got the right time and make sure your tide tables are converted for British summertime, because that hour can make a huge difference to you. So that's probably the most important piece of equipment that you need. And just a knife and a bag.